right, we're back again. And now here is the title match. $13,000 to the winner, $7,500 to the runner-up, and the tournament leader, completing his practice shots. That is Mal Acosta of Hayward, California, 28-year-old slender professional, a non-winner, 6-footer, 150 pounds. He'll be going against Marshall Holman, who just defeated Earl Anthony by a score of 224 to 159.
Mal Acosta, first stroke.
And that takes some of the tension out of the shot. Opening with a strike, Acosta of Hayward, California, averaging 220 this week.
Acosta, with 3 practice balls on each of the championship lanes, Chris, decided at the last moment that he'd like to finish on the right-hand lane. Holman with a 224 over Earl Anthony's 159 in the semifinal match.
So it's all even after a frame. Marshall Holman in the final against Mal Acosta. Check the footwork on Holman.
Marshall Holman uses the whole approach because he's slightly built and develops all of that momentum in his legs and not so much with his upper body. Has that long approach, smooth delivery, and he's bowling as well as anybody in the country. Notice he's sliding way to the left. That's to compensate for that tremendous hook he throws. He starts it in the center of the lane, out and very sharp at the back end.
Marshall Holman, a double. Been on our telecast 5 of the 7 weeks. This is our 8th week. And a week off rest must have stood him in good stead to stand the grind of getting to this point.
Chris, I wonder if he practices that saunter off the approach when he's off.
Leaving the 10-pin after opening with the strike, Mal Acosta, the tournament leader.
Acosta also uses the full approach, 5-step delivery. He has a straighter shot, or less hook, than Marshall Holman. Has an ideal position, lifts straight through the ball. Notice he slides on the left side of the lane, but plays more down the center with more of a whole pocket shot. Left the weak 10 on that particular hit.
And the slender 6-footer, weighing 150 pounds, covers the 10-pin. Here's a young man. This is his second appearance in his 4-year pro career being on our telecast. And although he did not finish among the top 5 in any tournament on 5 occasions, he picked up $1,000 per tournament in earnings.
Very versatile player, Chris. He can play the inside line, the outside line, or the big hook. He has a great future in this game.
All right, we've got a 310 on the left lane now for Acosta.
A bit tentative on this shot. Lets the ball slow down at the bottom of the swing and doesn't get the extension through the shot. The ball hooking early with a slight pull, 310 split. 2-1 for the pros. Cross lane. A little extra speed.
So for Acosta, who bowls quickly, 47 through the 3rd. His first open in this title match, while Marshall Holman, who defeated Anthony in the previous match, has a double up.
Marshall, with a win in this particular tournament, could have 3 victories in the first 8 weeks. What a start. Chris, and he paid for that big hook and power. See the ball way out on the 10th board, breaks very sharply. Now watch the 5-pin right there. Now watch the 5. Should go into the 7. That it doesn't. The 6 lays down and doesn't quite get the 10. What causes that is the sharp break a little too late and the ball rolling out or quitting just slightly.
So that brings the match much closer. Only 9-pin lead held by Holman now because, like Acosta, an open frame in the 3rd.
Here's Holman's finish in Cleveland. Has always bowled well, but you don't see any number 1s up there. That number 2 in 1978, he was the tournament leader and lost in the final match.
For 7.
That bad break swishing 7-10, Chris, seems to have taken a little of the wind out of Holman's sails. He let up on that shot on the hooking lane, the left-hand lane, and let it break through. Didn't get the split. Ended up with a relatively easy 4-7 spare.
All right, our 2 professionals are nearing the midway point of our final game for the Cleveland Open Championship. The match will continue after this. And at the Buckeye Lanes in North Olmsted, Ohio, we have come in our live telecast to the final match. Mal Acosta is the tournament leader, and in our live coverage, he is going against Marshall Holman, who eliminated Earl Anthony in the last game. And a two-pin.
Acosta not playing much hook at all, Chris. As you see, watch his hand come through this ball. He has a good swing, and he gets a good knee bend on this shot, but does not get enough wrist lift. He comes straight through it with the wrist not breaking much at all, and thereby not getting enough break at the back end. A relative easy spare, the two-pin.
That's a spare in the fourth for Mal Acosta. There you see Mal trailing by 9 pins in our final game.
Mal Acosta not eligible for the Firestone Tournament Champions. Ironically, if he wins today, he would knock out his roommate, Cliff McNeely, who is in 52nd spot, sitting on the bubble at the Firestone.
Both professionals attributing some of their success to the use of older bowling balls that they got out of their vast collection to perform here.
Right, Chris. The ball that Mal Acosta is using is a 1973 model hard plastic ball that he pulled out of his garage at home, and Marshall Holman using an older one he pulled out of a closet.
So at 28 years of age, Acosta can rest, trailing by 11. Holman shooting in the 5th now with a spare working, taking a lot of time drying that right hand.
And something that Marshall does in his grip, Chris, is he spreads that index finger and tucks the pinky when he throws the ball. And when he does that, it tightens his grip and lets him get the ball well out over the foul line. That's a good tip for players at home. If they're losing the ball, tuck that pinky and spread the index finger.
And Marshall Holman, like so many of you, a wide world of sports fan. And that show will be coming up next here on ABC as our live coverage continues from North Olmsted, Ohio.
Marshall strike working in the 5th. Can increase his lead to 21 with a double. Doesn't take much time.
Four, 6, 7.
And both players not holding the speed control, Chris. You see this ball was in the right area for Marshall Holman, but it cuts through and leaves the 4, 6, 7. But he just didn't throw it hard enough to hit that big hook.
So Marshall Holman, the winner of the United States Open and the Firestone Tournament of Champions, sees his lead vanish. Acosta leading by 1, the spare up, shooting in the 6th frame. He carefully checks that overhead score sheet.
And he showed some experience there. He moved to an outside line around the first arrow instead of down the middle through a much more aggressive shot. He leads by 1. And